TV7 Israel News is made possible thanks to your generous donations.
Shalom, Erev Tov, good evening. This is TV7 Israel News, broadcast to you from Jerusalem. 2 Israeli hostages who were murdered in Hamas captivity are returned to Israel. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu reiterates that unless the Islamist Hamas disarms, Israel will eliminate the terror group. Germany tells Turkey that Israel has a right to self-defense. 2 bodies of deceased hostages, to include Amiram Cooper and Sahar Baruch, were returned to Israel from Hamas captivity last night. Their families were formally notified after they were identified by the National Institute of Forensic Medicine. Amiram Cooper, an 85-year-old man, was a poet and a composer and a resident of the community of Nir Oz. On October 7th of 2023, he and his wife Nurit were kidnapped by the abhorrent terror group Hamas to the Gaza Strip. Nurit was subsequently freed 17 days later. However, during the course of Amiram's captivity, Hamas terrorists had murdered him, a revelation that the IDF had announced last year. Sahar Baruch, 25-year-old man, was kidnapped from his home in the community of Be'eri. His brother and grandmother were murdered by the terrorists during the Islamist massacre on October 7th of 2023, while Sahar himself was also murdered while in captivity approximately 2 months later in the course of a failed IDF and ISA rescue attempt. And while the return of the 2 deceased hostages from captivity in Gaza grants their families much-needed closure, it is important to emphasize that the terror Islamist group, Hamas, continues to hold 11 deceased hostages in violation of the terms of President Donald Trump's 21-point plan for a long-enduring ceasefire.
I don't have to tell you, Hamas violated the ceasefire agreement over and over again. Qatar's prime minister even called it a violation when Hamas attacked our soldiers and killed one of them just the other day. There are no excuses for Hamas, a terror organization that is designed to annihilate the state of Israel, its allies who believe in strong democratic values, and those in the West. Thankfully, our strong and committed partners in the United States understand this and have helped the Prime Minister implement a plan to dismantle and disarm Hamas.
Meanwhile, at an officer's graduation ceremony of the IDF, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu proclaimed that if Hamas continues to blatantly violate the ceasefire, it will know powerful attacks.
The combination of the political echelons' determined decision-making and the determination of our wonderful fighters and commanders led to the crushing of the Iranian Axis, to the return of all of our living hostages that no one believed we would do, and we are determined to also return all the deceased hostages as well. We have not relented until we return all of them home. We started in the Gaza Strip. We eliminated the majority of the murderers and tens of thousands of other terrorists. We have destroyed a great deal of terrorist infrastructure. We have more work to do in Gaza. If Hamas continues to blatantly violate the ceasefire, it will know powerful attacks, as happened the day before yesterday. We will decide and act as necessary to remove the immediate danger to our forces. We decide and we act. At the end of the day, Hamas will be disarmed and Gaza will be demilitarized. If foreign forces do it, that's good. If they don't do it, we will do it ourselves.
Prime Minister Netanyahu further addressed Israel's unequivocal victory over its enemies, from Hezbollah in Lebanon through the fall of the Assad regime in Syria to the Popular Mobilization Forces, or Hashd Shabi in Iraq, the Houthis in Yemen, and the head of the snake, the Ayatollah regime in Iran.
בלבנון הכינו קשות את חיזבאללה. אתם זוכרים את נקודת הפתיחה במבצע?
In Lebanon, we have severely struck Hezbollah. You remember the starting point of our operation, Operation Beeper, which shook our enemies to the north. We eliminated the tyrant Nasrallah and many other senior figures in Hezbollah. We destroyed terrorist systems that had been built with huge sums of money. We toppled the dominoes of the axis of evil one by one. Assad's regime of terror in Syria disintegrated. The IDF destroyed the capabilities of the Syrian army, while no one was harmed on our side. We captured the peak of Mount Hermon, rescued our Druze brothers. We increased the pressure on the pro-Iranian militias in Iraq. We repeatedly struck at the Houthis in Yemen. We entered the depths of the terror nests in Judea and Samaria. But the highlight of this campaign was Operation Rising Lion, as part of which we struck a blow to the head of the snake and Iran itself. And I mention this not to diminish the achievements in all arenas, the sacrifice, the heroism. I mention this because we have removed from ourselves nuclear and ballistic capabilities that threaten the existence of our state and our 10 million citizens. I said on the second day of the war that we would change the face of the Middle East, and this is what the state of Israel is doing. Israel is seen today as a center of determination and strength, of audacity and the momentum of victory.
The Israeli leader went on to stress that in close cooperation with the leadership in Washington, Jerusalem will not shy away from seizing any opportunities for peace.
Together with our great friend the United States, we will continue to adhere to the dual mission, continuing the fierce struggle against our enemy and expanding the circle of peace in our region. Because our strength, our determination, creates many opportunities for peace, and we will not miss them. We will continue to keep a close eye on what is happening, to establish our existence from strength. And we will act with endless determination to secure Israel's future.
While Israel continues to confront its enemies across the region, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu asserted that the state of Israel is in fact fighting for all of civilization against the bloodthirsty barbarity of Islamic death cults.
In many ways, Israel is leading one of the greatest struggles in human history in the 21st century, and that is the threat of radical Islam to the civilized world. It is Israel that is standing in the breach. The national defensive wall against the bloodthirsty fanatics serves as a sign and example for many nations, even if their leaders do not always say so publicly since they are under pressure from the media. But even though they don't say so publicly, they tell it to me privately. And I say to them, we have proven here that it is possible to stem the danger of destruction. And now it is your turn to come to your senses, because before we retreat into the darkness of the Middle Ages.
Turning to Israel's northern neighbor, Lebanon, where the United States has relayed to the Beirut government that it expects Lebanon to engage with Israel in dialogue, with rising pressure on Washington's expectations to see long-lasting bilateral disputes resolved. Moreover, senior American officials have relayed to the Lebanese government that unless they fulfill their pledge to disarm Hezbollah, all financial pledges to help Lebanon rehabilitate its infrastructure, to include from the United States, Europe, the Gulf Arab states, and others, would not be delivered. Separately, German Foreign Minister Johann Wedeful visited Beirut today, during the course of which he re-emphasized to the Lebanese government that the country's sovereignty and stability depends on the state's exclusive control of weapons. Berlin's top diplomat further warned that failure to achieve this goal would undermine confidence in the government's ability to exercise full authority and make independent decisions. Meanwhile, in Ankara, German Chancellor Friedrich Merz, during a joint press conference with Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan, pushed back at his host's anti-Israel narratives vis-à-vis the Gaza Strip, emphasizing that in Berlin's unequivocal position, Israel has a right to self-defense.
Israel hat von seinem Recht auf Selbstverteidigung Gebrauch gemacht.
Israel exercised its right to self-defense, and it would have taken only one decision to avoid countless unnecessary casualties. Hamas should have released the hostages earlier and laid down its arms. Then this war would have ended immediately. The children in Gaza, whose fate also touches me personally, have become victims of hostage-taking by the terrorist organization Hamas.
Geiselnahme geworden durch die Terrororganisation der Hamas.
Thank you for watching TV7 Israel News. I would like also to thank you if you're a supporter of TV7, since your donation is helping us produce our daily news from here in Jerusalem. If you haven't yet supported TV7 Israel, please consider doing so. You can donate via our website at www.tv7israelnews.com. Separately, as ever, pray for our persecuted brothers and sisters worldwide, along with prayers for the peace of Jerusalem and redemption of Israel. Jonathan Essen wishing you a Shabbat Shalom u'Mevorach, and God willing, until our next update, Shalom from Jerusalem.